Hello, welcome back to Logic Lab, a channel where I teach puzzle solving one deduction at a time. As I work through this Sudoku grid, I'll explain my entire thought process, and by the end of the solve, you'll have a clear understanding of how to read Sudoku structure, spot hidden interactions, and break open even the trickiest of puzzles. Let's dive in. Here is Blue Lightning by Webb the Third. We have normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. Region sum lines. Thick region boundaries split the digits on a blue line into segments of the same sum. So that means these three sum to those three. These three sum to this one. Those two sum to this, etc. Kropke dots digits separated by a white dot are consecutive, so these two are consecutive, those two are consecutive, etc. Those are all the rules. Way to play is to click the link in the video description. Now it's my turn. Let's do it. So this cell sums to those three, and it sums to these two, and it's the same as this digit. Now, it can't be a 6, because this would have to be 1, 2, 3. Then the minimum you can make this is 4, 5. Likewise, it can't be 7, because you'd have to do 1, 2, 4. This could only be 1, 2, 4, but then you'd have 5 digits selected, 5 different digits selected from only 1, 2, and 4, which is impossible. So this must be 8 or 9, and so is this. Now, let's take a look at this cell. This obviously can't be 9, because then you'd have 8 on both sides, because this is consecutive to 2 different digits. So let's just make it a 6, 7, or 8, because the minimum you can make 3 digits sum to is 1, 2, and 3, which is 6. But you actually can't make it 6. And the reason is because if you made it 6, this would be 1, 2, 3. These two, remember, have to sum to this. So this would have to be 4, 5, which would put a 9 here and a 9 there. But the reason that breaks is obviously 6 and 9 are not consecutive. Okay, so that's not a 6. Yeah, and actually, if it's an 8, it also breaks. Because you have to make these two a 7 or 9 to be consecutive with the 8. But then this has no value because it can't be an 8 or 9. So this must be a 7. This has to be 3 digits sum to 7, which are 1, 2, and 4. Now you have to have 8 on either side of the 7, either 6, 7, 8 or 8, 7, 6. So this is no longer 8. So these two are 9. Now, you can't make this 6 because these two would have to sum to 6. But you've already used up 1, 2, and 4, so it can't be 1, 5, or 2, 4, and you can't repeat the 3. So this must be 8, that must be 6. So now this is 8. These two sum to 8. It's not 1, 7, or 2, 6, so it has to be 3, 5. So this cell, to be consecutive with 3 or the 5, is 2, 4, or 6. We're off and running. Now this is an interesting construction. This cell is the same as that cell, and it must be these two sum to this, but these are consecutive. So basically what that means is that these two have a difference of 1. That means this digit must be a 1 to counterbalance the difference. Because let's just say this was a 5, that would have to be 4 and then 1. Or like 6. This can't be 7 because then the sum wouldn't work. So whatever these two are, the difference is 1. So the 1 here corrects that difference. That means this is not 1. It's a 1 in one of 2 positions. Now this cell is obviously a 6, 7, or 8 because it's summing 3 different digits. Now we have to be careful what we make it. These two are kind of interesting because they're consecutive. You can't make them too big, obviously. Can't make them too big. If this is a 2, 3, or if it's a 4, 3, it's impossible. Then you'd have this being a 1 to give you a sum of 8. This will break. If it's anything higher, again, it's impossible. If you did make it a 2, 3, this sums to 5. So this would have to be, it would break because this couldn't be a 1, 2, 3, or a 4, because then it would be 9, and then this would repeat. So actually, the only way that this Kropke dot works is if we make it a 1 and a 2. Hopefully that's clear. To keep this sum down to a 6, 7, or 8. So now this cell, it could be 3, it could be 4, it also could be a 5. A 1, 2 pair. Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. Well, you can say by Sudoku and read in sum 9 is in one of two positions. So 9's in one of two positions there. This is, oh, the 9 can't go there. So that's a 9. This is 6, 7, 8. That's not an 8. Cell's restricted. It's not a 3 or a 4. Could be a 5 with a 5, 4. Can't be a 6. That would be 6, 5. Can't be a 7 or 8. It also could be a 9. It's a 9, 8. We have to be careful about where we put the 9s and the 8s in this column because most of these Kropke dots are on region sum lines. Like for instance, you can't put an 8 here because then this would be 0 to make the sum work. You also can't put an 8 there. So basically, none of those squares, and you can't put an 8 there because that sum would be too big. None of those can be 8s. Let's ask ourselves a similar question with the 9s. Because you can't put a 9 here, or here, or here, or here, or any of those. The 9's in one of two positions. Now, I can think about this. It has to be low. These three sum to 9. So there's no way you can have 8 and 9 on there. You also can't have 7 or 6 or 5, because that would have to be 5, 4, making this a 0. So you're left with only 3 and 4 as possible values. So that's what it has to be. It has to be 3, 4 to keep the sum down to reach 9, because this is on the same line as this. So this is 3, 4, which means this must be a 2, because 2, 3, and 4 give you 9. No, this is not 9. I'm sorry, this is not 5. Because again, 5, 4, and now that would mess up this. So this must be 9, 8, which puts a 9 there. We have 7, 6, and 5. These are consecutive. So 6, 7 are consecutive. So that's what they have to be. 6, 7. This is a 5. Now we know the order because if this is 7, this is 1. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. That wasn't correct. That was wrong. It can't be 6, 7 because this would have no value. So it must be 5, 6. That was my bad. So now this is a 7. So unfortunately, we break up to 6, 7. But this is not a 6 because then this would have to be 6, 2, which would mess up this. So that is 5, 3, 6, which gives you the 7 there. 6, 7, 8. That gives you a 6. That gives you a 7. So now this is 1, 2, 4. And we are in good shape. This cell is interesting. The minimum you can make this is 8 with a 3 and a 5, but it can't be 8 So you have to make this a 9, which means this is 3, 6, which forces that to be a 6, that to be a 3. Now that's not a 6. So now in this box, we have a 5, a 7, and an 8. The 7 and the 8 are the only digits that are consecutive in that sequence, so this must be a 5. This is a 7, 8, and we know the order. By Sudoku, this is putting a 7 here. This is putting in this column, the 7 must go there. And we need a 2 and a 4 to round out that box. This is a 1, 2, 4 triple. So to round out the row, we need a 3, an 8, and a 9, which we can do the 3 because this is seeing 8 and 9. This can't be 1, 7, so it's either 2, 6 or 3, 5. Okay, now take a look at this column. So it's interesting to me because these two are consecutive and it can't contain a 5. Because if it did, imagine you had a 5 here. Okay, it couldn't go with a 6, so it'd have to be 5, 4. But that would break very, very cleverly because remember, these two sum to 9, right? Region sum lines. These two sum to this. So this would have to be a 4, 5 to make it sum to 9. But then you have 3 digits that are different that are coming from 4 and 5. So you'd have to repeat one of them, which is not allowed. So that's important. You can't have a 5 here, so this is restricted. The only digits that you can allow there are 1, 2, and 4. But remember, they have to be consecutive. So that forces this to be a 1 and a 2. And now we know the order due to Sudoku. So now we know that there is a 2 on this 3-cell region sum that will ultimately sum to 9. These two sum to 9. I'm sorry, these two sum to 7. And they're not 1, 6, or 2, 5. So they are 3. Whoops, they are 3, 4. To which we know the order for 3. So we'll put a 3 in one of 2 positions by Sudoku. If the 3 is there, this is a 2 or a 4 to be consecutive, which we can't do. So this must be a 3. This must be a 3, which gets rid of the 3, 5 option. That means this is 2, 6. So now this is a 1, that's a 2. This is 2, 6, so this is not 2 anymore, so it's 4. This still could be a 3 or a 5. This 3 needs to be consecutive with this. It's not a 4, so it is a 2. By Sudoku, this must be a 5. So the 1 is down here somewhere. But now, by Sudoku, you can't make this a 1, obviously. This would have to be a 2. So there does live a 1 here, which means this is not a 1. So now that is the 1. This has to be a 2, 4 pair. One of those is a 7. By Sudoku, one of these is a 7. These cells are an 8, 9 pair. The other 8, 9 can't go here, obviously, or here. So the other 8, 9 must go in the corner. So we can probably figure out what these are. This is not 2, 3, 4. So it will contain a 1. So it is 1, 2, and 6 to give you 9. 1, 2, 6, 3, 4. So we need a 5, which must go there. We need a 1, which must go here. We need a 6. Now the 6 by Sudoku is in one of two positions, so this is a 6, 7 pair. Okay, I could start to think about this sum, but I'm just going to do Sudoku because why not? 5's in one of two positions, which means in this box, the 5 is definitely there. So it's consecutive, but this is either a 4 or a 6. Hmm. Oh, this is 8 because 1 and 8 sum to 9. I probably should have realized that a long time ago. But that's going to give you the 9 and the 8, the 9, 8, 9. Which is going to give you an 8 here. These cells are 3, 4, 5. And this is not 4 or 5. So it is a 3, which will get this done. 5, 3. This is not a 3. These are not 3s. So 4, 5 pair means that is a 3. It's 4. This is working quite nice. The 5 by Sudoku is here, which means that's a 5. This is a 5, 5, 4. This is now by Sudoku logic, this is a 1. So this is 4 or a 6. We can probably do something with this line here. These 3, remember, sum to those 3. These 3 sum to 9. So this either sums to 13 or 15. So how do we make this sum to 13? Well, it would have to be 6, 3, 4. We could also make it sum to 15 with 7, 6, 3. So these two are 1 and a 3. So that's a 3. That's a 1. This is now a 2. So 1, 6 pair. Okay. Consecutive. Um, let's see. If you made this a 7, then this is a 7. Then that's a 6. That's a 4, that's a 6. This would be 15. Oh, what am I? Oh, I'm doing the math wrong. Oh, doing the math wrong. Come on. All right. That's no. It's embarrassing. So this can't be a 7 because 7 and 6 is 13, not 12. And 13 and 3 is 16. And then you wouldn't be able to make this work because you'd have to make this a 7, 9, 7 to make it 16 and 16. So this is no longer a 7. So that's going to finish out this puzzle. So 4, that's a 6. Now this sum is a 1, 3, 5, and 4, which is 13. So this needs to be a 4 to get the sum to work out. So that's going to put 2's there. That's going to make this a 6 out of 2. Gives us the 1 and the 6. The 1 and the 4. And this will give us the 2 and the 4. And that is the puzzle. 26 minutes, 32 seconds. All right. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.